Okay, good evening. Welcome to the Cabarrus County Board of Education second work session in June for covering our budget amendment. So this is one of our shortest meetings of the year. So we'll go ahead and move on to item 1.01, which is the call to order. I'm calling the meeting to order, and 1.02 is introductions. We have as Shannon Lancaster is not able to be here in person, but she is trying to join us via Teams, so she can hear what's going on, but she cannot vote, so she'll be participating that way. I've got Catherine Moore here on the dais, board member, board member Sam Treadaway, our superintendent, Dr. John Kapicki, myself, Rob Walter, board chair, our vice chair, Greg Mills, Ms. Pam Escobar, board member, and board member Melanie Freeman. So I think that's everybody. Did we have an SR tonight? We did not. So, all right, so that's our introduction section. We'll move on to the Section 2.01 is the Pledge of Allegiance. So if you would join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So we have a limited agenda, which just has a couple items on it. So I would need a motion and a second to approve our agenda for the night.
I'll make that motion. Second.
Motion by Mr. Treadaway, second by Mr. Mills. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Anybody opposed? Okay, we have an agenda for this evening, and we'll move right into that. And 4.01 is the final budget amendments for the fiscal year 2024-25, and we have Mr. Phil Penn at the podium. Welcome.
Good evening, all. As the chairman just stated, this is what I hope will be our final budget amendment for 24-25. I know most of you heard most of this routine when we went through the finance committee the other night. I will sort of call out a couple of quick changes. Overall to the good. When we talk about a fund balance appropriation, and if we can open up the budget amendment document real quick. Thank you. So we're now anticipating a fund balance appropriation in Fund 2, which are our local funds, of $3,820,000. That's about $70,000 more than we anticipated on Thursday. There are still moving parts. Thursday, Friday, and as early as 11 o'clock today. Most of that just it reflects additional conservatism. As I mentioned, we are required to estimate our actual expenses for the month of June. We want to make sure that we're appropriating enough fund balance to cover everything. So once we have final bills that come through, we move those expenses back to June as actuals. We want to make sure we have everything accounted for. On the flip side of that, we've been able to reduce what we anticipate appropriating in Fund 8 down to $3 million. It's a $250,000 improvement from where we were on Thursday. Net between the two of them is $180,000 to the good. A little bit of a positive story there. I do want to go through all the different changes that took place. It's a standard monthly process that I would do, and obviously this reflects everything as of today. So within the State Public School Fund, Fund 1, we've got a net increase of just over $2 million. That's to record the final expenses related to certain benefits that are guaranteed allotments from the state, mostly related to a longevity pay, any kind of leave payouts, and short-term disability. We also did get about $48,000 in additional funding for our EC students, specifically related to our developmental day program, so we're recording that within the financials this time too. As I mentioned, in Local Fund 2, there's a net increase of $3.8 million, which ties to the amount of the fund balance appropriation. We looked that against staff supplements that were paid through and our pass-through expenses to the charter schools as well. We also did record a transfer of $1.3 million worth of utility expenses to Fund 8. This is to better match the availability of fund balance in those two different funds, 2 versus 8. Federal funds, number 3, had an increase of about $245,000. That included additional IDEA grant funding of $244,000 and a very small increase in our Title III funding as well. We did also make a bunch of transfers within federal funds that had no overall effect. It was going from one expense line to the other expense line, but the net effect on the budget was 0. Similarly, or I should say in Kids Plus, Fund 7, we had an increase of 1.6 million. That's to record the transfer of the funds back to our local funds that we've talked about for the past couple of months here. Kids Plus is required to show that as an expense within their system to properly record it within their financials. So that's what we've done in this case. Special revenue, Fund 8, increase of $3,058,000. That includes the appropriation we just discussed of the $3 million. But we did have some minor increases on Medicaid funding, and also some VEX summer camp revenue that we wanted to record within the month. And then, as I said, we also moved $3.3 million in total from Fund 2 to Fund 8 for utility expenses that were incurred during the year. And again, that's because we had a significant amount of fund balance that was available to us in Fund 8 and not enough to cover everything in Fund 2, so we did make that shift in expenses. When you roll together all the changes, we wound up with our funded budgeted expenditures for the 24-25 year of $561.6 million across all funds. I'm hoping that it's not necessary to have a closing budget resolution in the middle of July, but we are going to discuss that in a few minutes as properly documenting that possibility. And the next pages that follow on after that actually detail all the transfers that are being made at the end of the year here. And then it also includes our normal monthly financials that we would prepare for you as an indicator of where we think the year landed. One of the things I would caution is, as you're going through that information, when you look at the amount of money that looks to be available at almost $100 million, if I recall the number correctly, just keep in mind that most of that's capital driven. So capital funds carry over from year to year, where most of our operating funds do not, right? So if you were to look in the unencumbered balance, you've got $97.5 million in the capital line, right? And that's obviously all the funding that we've received for longer term projects that will continue on into 25, 26. Okay.
Are we getting interest on that?
They actually hold the cash on capital, so we do not get interest on capital.
Board members, questions? Pam?
Thank you. It looks like there just might be a typo on bullet 2. It looks like we're missing a 0. So I just want to make sure
We
that
are.
that's
That is
there.
correct. $3,820,000. Thank you.
Yep, no problem.
Thank you, Pam. Any other questions? Do we understand what we're going to be asked to approve? Shannon, did she have anything? No. Okay. All right, you want to talk about the closing budget resolution?
Sure. So, because of all the issues with Link that not only we are experiencing, but other districts are experiencing, there was a statewide phone call with CFOs that are users of that product. One of our external auditors, who represents 85 of the districts across the state of North Carolina, recommended that we should have in place what they call a closing budget resolution. Now, I'm not familiar with this. I had not seen this before, and neither had anybody on my team. But what this basically does, it gives you the limited ability to go back and make changes to the 24-25 year or the immediately preceding year if it becomes necessary to do so. So I will tell you that we are continuing to experience issues with Link that we continue to work to resolve. It is very much a statewide issue for any of those users that are out there.
For the public, can you explain what Link is?
Link is just the brand name of the accounting software that we use. It's LINQ. Okay. So from my perspective, it's my hope that we don't need to go back and readjust anything, but this leaves open the possibility to come back and do so within a very specifically prescribed date, which would be the July meeting of the board.
Okay, William, could you come up and just give us your thoughts on the resolution?
Sure. Lori had provided this to me in advance of the meeting, and I took a look at it, and I think this works. I know the board chair did have the one comment earlier today to take out the July 21st date because there'll just be one board meeting, combined meeting, July 14th. So I'm comfortable with this. It would still, any changes would come back before this board at the July 14th meeting.
Okay. Anything else, Phil?
No, that's it. So if you don't mind, I'm asking for an affirmative vote on both the budget amendments and on the closing resolution if needed.
Can we do that with one motion,
Yes.
William? Yes. Last chance to understand what we're voting for. Any last minute questions? And if not, if everybody's good, then I'll need a motion in a second.
Keeping
closing budget resolution.
Resolution, yeah.
Okay, thank you. We have a motion by Mr. Treadaway. Anybody want to second that one?
Second.
Second by Mr. Mills. Any further?
I do have one
Yes,
question.
go ahead.
Who was it that you mentioned, I lost it. Who suggested the delayed?
It was our external auditors,
Okay.
Anderson, Smith and White. That was the recommendation that
Thank
came through as part of that CFO
Thank you.
discussion.
Thank you.
Okay, so we have a motion second. Any other comments, questions? Okay, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Anybody opposed, say no. Okay, the motion passes, so those two have passed.
Terrific.
And that was all that we had on our open session. At this point, we do have a need for a closed session to talk about personnel, so we'll need a motion to go into closed session. And I can read that reasoning. Need a motion and a second that the board convene in closed session to consult with an attorney and preserve the attorney-client privilege pursuant to General Statute 143-318-11A3 and to consider confidential personnel matters pursuant to General Statute 143-318-11A6. Somebody could give me that motion? Thank you, Pam. Anybody second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second to go into closed session. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Anybody opposed? Okay, we are now into closed session. We will say goodnight to our listening audience. I know it was a short meeting, but thank you for joining us, and we'll see you on July 14th.